But I thought that was it's like it didn't sound stressed out. Oh, it didn't. I'll try again. Hi, everybody. I'm just gonna wait, let viewers come in. I don't have a whole lot thought up ahead of time. Kind of just the basic, premise of yeah. I gained another subscriber, so you know, and she was online. She was on somebody else's video who I couldn't tell if it was, well, it was still going actually, but and while she was watching, because we were chatting there, she came over and subscribed to me, and I hadn't even really mentioned my channel. I asked her to. I mean, I may have gotten around to it, but that was nice. So I look forward to seeing that person here and anyone else who ends up being here to enjoy some conversation. I've caught a couple people live streaming today, actually, other than the musicians that I follow, like not like famous musicians, although um, one or two of them seems to be doing pretty good in their own way. But the other two people that I found were quite religious. One didn't make it super obvious, and then the other one kind of did. I think because of something I said, but it was interesting to hear people's points and views, and some of what she'd said I definitely had heard people say before, but she had her own unique spin on it. I would say, like a lot of us do about that kind of thing, and a lot of things. Um, whether it's interesting to actually think about. Well, I know what some people might say actually, and not here to debate, you know, conversate, maybe have slight disagreements, uh, but yeah. So I mean, I don't know. Part of me, so I just wanted to do a podcast and have a bit of interaction, and part of me thinks that love is a silly or lame theme. However, I also don't think love is silly or lame, and so I think it's a lovely theme. I think it's a pretty darn good one, to be honest. And what the world needs now, you know, most is love, sweet love. Anyway, but it's interesting, not to talk about religious people or seem like I'm trying to be offensive or whatever, but it is kind of interesting to kind of. I do spend a lot of time on platforms online. I mean, I am also living offline, but these days, not a ton is happening in that way. Um, at different points in my life, it's been different, and I haven't been a churchgoer for a while. Some believers aren't, you know. Um, I might not, but with the godly belief, way to put it, I guess. But it's interesting because, and not surprising necessarily, but just that thing I was watching earlier and kind of where it kind of went to before I tuned out, and not because I didn't quite tune out because of that. Although I do have well, about an hour. I was wanting to come here as well, but it's interesting, and I'm not saying who the person is, but it's interesting to kind of see somebody, and you could tell that they're open minded and accepting of different things, but then they bring religion into it, and it's like they're, what's the word I'm looking for? It's like they're at odds with two different beliefs. There's a one word to say that I think that I'm meaning here, but I can't think it. And you know, however, um, sometimes somebody can present something in such a way where they coexist in a beautiful way, and it's not as obvious that it's at odds with each other for different way to, for lack of a different way to put it. Um, Yeah, or just not to specify, I guess, is another option. So we can also continue the topic from the previous video about kind of feeling like when you have to wait for things and how that can be challenging, and what helps and all that stuff, and what some of those things may be in your life that you maybe feel like you should have sooner than you are having. If that makes sense. I guess I'll say this to Miss Gibbs if she sees this. For you call it something like that, then the other word, which may confuse some people or just feel awkward to say out loud, but happy to have you subscribe to this channel. I don't almost don't want to repeat myself, but at the same time, I don't know how long I'm gonna roll. Like I say, I do have a bit of time. I don't know if today it's fairly hot, but there's a bit of cloud cover. It's not too hot, I think, but I do need to get my biking oil before I can ride it again. But I would like to get a bit more bike riding in before winter, even if it's not years. And but I think my knees feel too tight today anyway. So um, but what was I gonna say? Yeah, if you have a song request, feel free to put some in the chat. Um, I'm assuming most people know that that's where you'd put it, but honestly, I usually just say feel free to make them, or I'll say put them below, but it's actually usually probably, well, depending on your device you're on, I suppose. Anywho, um, what I meant to say, Miss Skittles, is that the guy that shared the name of my father, first name, um, I asked one simple question because it was something kind of ironic, and I was curious, and obviously I was sending, I was being quite chatty, and you as a man didn't seem to mind that. However, he got confused and thought that everybody else would be as well, though nobody was saying they were, and he put me on a pause. And actually, even after I walked him, it looked like it was still on a pause. So I figured, well, if I can't contribute, because the thing was is that she was reading at least some of my comments while she was multitasking, and such, and she was having dialogue, and I'm sure that's why she did the video, not only to kind of share her own feelings, but to talk to the viewers. So, because we all need each other, even if we do strongly believe in God. You know. Um, but anyway, we don't have to talk deep about religion here. But yeah, so I don't know. I don't know. Um, kind of want to roll for a while. I kind of don't. I don't know what I want to do. I know, but you know, well, it's just like this lately, so it's not like it's anything unusual. But I know that I could probably stand to have a bit more movement uh, in my day. But what can you do, hey? And so I'm curious who we've got watching. Haven't been rolling very long, and where you're watching from, if you'd like to say. And hopefully you're having a good day as well. I'm just quickly looking at my other device. I just was making sure that there was no other new messages other than the one I got previewed, and that was the only one. So that's, and it was with her. But anyway, nor was he saying that something that was nearby. Anywho, but it does remind me of the fact of being a musician. So if you have any song requests, feel free to put them in the chat. Um, we have two of you here now, and or topics. Um, yeah, I can roll for about another 30, 40 minutes, 40ish minutes, and you both look like, oh, I don't have that much time. I mean, you didn't say that, but maybe you did think it. And if you did, I wasn't saying you had to give that much time. You do what you can. And hopefully you can, contribute something that, fits in with the content, and you know is um, is lovely. Um, Trying to think. Sometimes I'm very kind of what's the word? Kind of. I try to think of a topic idea or a song idea, and went from one to three there, and it's just kind of like hard to retrieve something, which is why sometimes I ask for suggestions, and then once I get the suggestions, I'm off and running a lot of the times. One to three. Um, but yeah. Uh, Hope everything is going well wherever our viewers are watching from. Um, I know that one of our subscribers, I saw an article preview this morning um, that they're having some pretty destructive weather where she lives. Um, and there are lots of places that are experiencing that in one way or another. Because I guess, sometimes we have to restart. And yeah, I actually heard that recently that sorrow or grief is a result of love. Exactly. It's still very, very hard, but yeah. Not good, what is it? My ex, but right. However, I'm a big thinker, and I can understand how it must be for sure. And I don't necessarily have to know everything either to be able to be there. So thank you. Yeah, and I guess the closer I get, the more difficult it'll be. But sorry, I was just sending a quick message to. We have a loved one, kind of a blended family member to me. So the person was there for a few seconds. Like, yeah, so do I. Your point? No, um, I don't mean to presume that I say it when they go, and usually, sometimes, often when there's nobody else currently there. But I don't mean to say that people are that sarcastic and impatient, but some are. Anywho, but a loved one that is in palliative at the moment, and her daughter just sent to me. So these podcasts, even though she may have had some difficulty understanding because of her, you know, energy level and her ability to keep up and whatever, whatever, it would have been so nice, um, to have had been checking out the channel. I mean, and she is still alive, but somebody would have to help her, to be able to get here and know where to put messages or whatever. But I don't know. Maybe I'm being naive to say that show her once or twice, and I'm sure she'd have it. You know, um, I mean, I say this as someone who does it all the time and is pretty used to it, but I also say it as someone who thinks that it's not that difficult to do either. So, um, whoops. So I don't know. It's kind of like I've hoped for it before. We'll just have to see. And that's not just because I think that I'd benefit from it, but firstly, I feel like she likely would, in one way or another. The video calls that we've had with her, a number of weeks ago, in which we also include brave music. Oh, there's no laptop now. Weird. Um, you know, I really do think did something good for her, and they seemed to, and that was lovely. So, um, I've just been rambling. Okay, I'm gonna try to not actually talk with this one friend for the rest of the month, which is only more than half past. I think. I guess. 18 times 2 is 31. Sorry. I think so. Um, so it might be about half. It feels like it's a little more than half because her daughter is moving for school at the end of the month, moving to another province. So they want to, and she works a lot, and they might both have quite busy life. So and it's true that she might doesn't seem to be having a hard time, but totally could with kind of focusing on both. And I won't make her. I mean, it's just hard because my current spot in life, but yeah, I am trying to remember that that she yeah, but lots of people are busy and distracted is true, and yeah. Anyway, so it's always nice when people make time for each other, and I'm all about that for the most part. I pretty able to do it. So there's someone there, just as like I was saying. But I definitely want to be doing it in a different capacity. I mean, YouTube is great, but truly, there's a lot on YouTube, and there's a lot to yeah. There's just a lot on YouTube, and people when they oh, down there. I don't know where it is. I don't remember picking it up. Anyway, people when they I don't know, in person, just kind of I don't want to say reach us stronger, but quite possibly. Also, how you're feeling on a particular day also can make a difference whether you're hearing it or delivering it. So I am realizing that I am quite tired at the moment, actually. So, but so this may not be my best video, and I didn't. You know, People may say, "Well, you should plan them ahead of time." A lot of people don't. A lot of people don't. My reasons for not doing so is that even if I wrote a script, I would probably not completely follow it. Whether comments distracted, I have to move that stick every time I kind of point the thingy at it. It's a bit distracting. I'm kind of surprised the other stuff doesn't show too. But I'd lose my place on it, or just simply veer from it. Um, whether it's and the comments aren't distracting, but whether it's comments or my own, say comments aren't necessarily distracting, but whether it's comments or my own thoughts. I mean, I'm a bit more freestyle than that, and that's my style. Um, so there was something that made me think to say that a moment ago, and I can't remember what. Somebody left for like a second. Either came back, or somebody else is here. Welcome. So I'm just trying to retrieve my kind of what led me to that thought that I just mentioned. Um, I'm not sure if I'm going to be able to, since I don't really even remember what the thought was now. That could make it could make it hard. Did it say that playlist out of curiosity? Doesn't look like it, so that's nice. I wonder if I can see that in my history and see my playlist. Yeah, so at the moment, I could go back and watch the lady I was watching, but only if I'm able to contribute to the chat because I'm social, you know. Whether somebody, any way that somebody is saying something to me, if I have something to say, I'm likely to say it. You know, I mean, you know, sometimes very methodical if it's online, but or I don't know, sometimes yes, sometimes no, but and so, but one of the admins, and I don't have admins here, I don't believe, other than myself at this point. I do have a couple people that maybe could be, but you know, it's all good. But paused paused my comments, so well, I'm not able to, you know, enjoy the back and forth dialogue. I mean, I could have with the other commenters, but so I decided to come here for a bit. If you have a song request, put it in the chat. If you have a topic request, and we, you know, shouldn't take too much effort, but you know, but some perhaps strive to have understanding and empathy with our fellow humans because truly we all want to understand. We want to understand our own thoughts. We want to understand other people in the world around us because when we don't, it becomes, well, it can be a confusing existence, right? It can, yeah, it's always good to kind of gain knowledge, about, what people have learned about in their life and stuff like that. Um, so we've had two of you here for about 4 or 5 minutes. Happy to have you here. Again, don't be shy to say where you're watching from and to share your thoughts on what I'm saying. Or, like I say, simply suggest some songs. I am musical, so this is why I ask. I guess it's true. Some people may hear that question not knowing that I'm musical and think what to add to your music playlist or you know. But no, I mean to perform for you all. And I'm pretty diverse. You know, it's interesting. I always used to say I was diverse musically, and I am. I am. But I don't like jazz, I don't like blues, and I'm not big about metal. Hard rock, sure. Rap, rock, country, pop, fusion, yeah. So I'm diverse, but nobody likes everything, right? So I can roll for another probably 20 or 30 minutes. I'm just gonna look here at the top. I did hear a song in somebody's live today that I quite liked. Well, that's interesting. That's interesting. And that might be a topic. So I think I'm not gonna ignore it for right now. Um, and basically, so sorry, just a moment. I'm kind of curious actually to hear this voicemail. Just one moment. It'll be quick. Okay, so that was very strange. And let me say why. Um, and then I might have to wrap this up, but I might try and come back on again tonight. So, friend of mine, I think she said that she's used this before, but I can't recall. Not much. I don't think she has much. Um, Basically, she's trying to become self-employed, as am I. But she also has another job. And as I was mentioning in the previous video, but nobody was really, it wasn't very long either. But something called Canada, and the viewer left, but whatever. Like I've mentioned the previous video. Why are you mentioning it again? Anyway, um, I'll finish saying this because yeah, it wasn't a great time that the guy was calling anyway. I mean, like, I'd only have about 15 minutes. I am doing this, but I could have stopped doing this. I really don't have the energy. It kind of caught me off guard, and yeah, it kind of getting close to our evening kind of planned routine. But anywho, so there's this thing called this website that I joined where you can get grants and funding for businesses. I mean, some of my goals, I don't really know if that's what I need. I just need clients and, that kind of thing. Um, and um, um, I remember being a little uncertain whether I should, but I ended up putting my name and my phone number there. And I think that I may have said that to my friend, uh, she didn't seem to see the problem with putting the phone number there. And like I said, I didn't get the sense she was super familiar with the site. And I said, okay, well, as long as they're not, gonna, I forget if I said spam or scam us or whatever. Anywho, and then basically, I've gotten a few emails from them now where well, actually, the most recent one I got, they all seem to come from the same name. Or that one just came from the name of the thing. There actually maybe hasn't been more than two. Anyway, says asked if I can call them, which is probably long distance. But between the yeah, I think there has been three emails. There was two in this thread, but that one looks empty. Anywho, they almost seem like they're trying too hard. But part of me also think it's maybe a push saying it's meant to be. Do this. I need to sit down and decide what it is that I would be asking them. You know, this is the first time that I'd be. I think it's essentially about getting grants and stuff like that. But and apparently they just want to explain things, but then probably ask if I have any questions. Um, Somewhat surprised that well, I mean, somewhat not though, that they left a voicemail. And it's weird because their voicemail says it's full. One person the other day let it play all the way through, and it seemed to mark a new one, but say there was no message. And today it seemed to record half of it. Um, we have somebody here. I'm just trying to process an email. I don't know if you've ever heard of, and if you're not Canadian, you may or may not have, Canada startups. Um, Funding options yeah, it's a government funding thing. I mean, when we're talking the government, I don't care what government we're talking. I mean, but like I say, a lot of my goals, kind of just the one, and at the moment, I don't have a location plan like I thought I did for where I would do the drop-in center. So, I mean, I don't really know. I don't know if I need anything from them or not. That's the thing. So yeah, and I feel very mixed about it. So I feel very mixed about kind of ignoring them reaching out. Um, but I just don't know. Yeah, I just don't feel organized enough to deal with that right now, and I don't entirely know if they're legit. I guess there is that too. Anywho, I can roll for probably another 15 minutes, but the person just left, so I don't know. I think I kind of covered the title. I kind of covered the title. You know, putting the title "Love." I didn't want that to seem like it was like a needy type thing. Maybe somewhat, but it's also just a great type of thing to give each other as people. And there's different types, of course, right? But in kindness and love, and yeah. So I mean, I would have probably talked more on the topic if there had been more conversation happening here. But please give me a bit for a while later. But there hasn't really, and um, I'd also do some music, but there hasn't. So what I will say is that although you might find stuff that you enjoy in the videos tab, and I keep meaning I should look really because I don't recall. I know that I am. It's a shared channel, me and somebody else in the house, and I know that I am most definitely in the live section because I do lives all the time. Uh, but I don't know if I'm in the video section. So, and I mean, the other person that's on the channel is very talented, and some of you have heard him on the piano and whatever else, and I'm not going to sit here and say that he's not. So, yes, I would love for him to be getting, and appreciated and enjoyed as well. He does sometimes at work, and sorry, I don't know why it's making me say it now. Um, doesn't I mean certainly likes it, but doesn't seem to. I want to say require, but then I feel awkward saying that I require. You know, the musical such appreciation, but I maybe do a little bit. I mean, it comes with being an entertainer. It comes with being a podcaster. I think that came up in a conversation with someone the other day. You know, doing it for yourself and being happy within yourself for doing something, but then also wanting it to benefit others, in a positive way. Um, so yeah, basically, so if there's a song you'd like to hear me do, feel free to suggest it in the chat. I've got another maybe 15 minutes I can roll. Enough time to do a song or two. But you left. And I know, that's the other thing too. And so I can't think too, what's the word? I try not to be too judgy anyway. I mean, you can have opinions, but honestly, I'm not sure if I know the difference between a judgment and opinion, but I think an opinion is usually kinder than that. I don't know. But anywho, um, what was I going to say? Oh, yeah, I can't judge people that don't give me song requests too harshly because even though lots of people are good at it, um, it's one of those questions. Unless you've had a song in your head all day or heard a song recently that comes to mind, or are just good at answering that kind of question, you can like a lot of music. But if somebody asks you to suggest a song, you have the same problem I have, and it's kind of like, which reminds me, when somebody tunes in, if no song comes, I'm gonna try something. I'm gonna try something. So just want to wait for somebody to tune in. It was flashing fairly actively there a moment ago, and I want somebody to hear it um, from the start of me doing it. Either that, or I could say it in the comments or the description later. I could add it in, and I could just do it now and time it myself, and then go from there. But you may not enjoy this as much as hearing me do music. It's true. But yeah, basically, what I'm going to do is something that I don't even remember how it came to mind the other day. And then, of course, I looked it up, and I'm going to try and set a Guinness record here. Okay. Um, and what it's going to be, in the viewer left, because I don't like Guinness records. I don't know. Okay, so I'm going to wait till it becomes 4:19. I really would love someone to be here from the beginning of it, but I think I'm going to wrap this video up with this, so I can just say tune in to the next 7 to 15 minutes of me doing this and see the Guinness record being set. What I'm going to try and do is do the longest vocalized music note. Okay, and I haven't tried this very often, but I do vocal things, and let's just see. It's interesting. When I did that, I felt when I did the key change or whatever you want to call it, like I could have went longer if I didn't do that. But once I did it, it stopped happening, which is interesting because it seems like from what I've watched a couple of videos online and how I found myself doing it one day, it seems like doing that kind of thing actually would help. Now, and I think the one I saw online that has actually set the record was doing it sitting down. They, you know, they say that doing it standing up, this exercise, um, they say that, or singers say that you get more when you stand up. But so I'm going to try that again. What I'm doing is I'm about to try and set a Guinness record. I'm a little bit confused because when I looked it up on YouTube, no, when I looked it up online, I found that 19 minutes was the record. However, and I'm at 37th, so I was kidding. However, when I searched the actual video of the guy, he was only doing it for about 8 minutes. So I don't know what the Guinness record is for the longest vocalized note. I mean, or in one breath. That's what it is. It can be more than one note, but the longest vocalization, that's in one note. And the person left. They seem curious, but I guess that one they're like, "Oh, I'm not going to want to hear that. That's going to hurt my ears." But it doesn't necessarily have to be. Now my bladder's speaking. Doesn't necessarily have to be high pitched. So, trying to set the Guinness record. I should wait until it comes into the next minute. And then it won't necessarily be high, but try and do the longest vocalization. I'm not a record holder, but I'm wondering how I can do. I'm not this record holder anyway. Okay, just waiting for the minute to change. Should I take a bit of water? You're that. Of course, if somebody tunes in, I'm gonna want to explain it. Okay, setting Guinness record. But I'm finding that I don't think I can do it as long as I could because I'm changing the note. So I'm going to wait till 4:23, and then I'm just going to try and do a steady note, or at least fairly steady. I think there might be, but the record holder probably does this too. There might be such a thing as like a half breath. I feel like people that play woodwinds maybe know about that. There might be such a thing as that. And so that should be allowed. I don't know. I don't know if you'd be able to tell if I was taking one or not, but I'm going to be honest. But I do think that I have to. But then when I go upstairs to do the other thing I want to do, I just want to do them both at the same time. But I think this could distract me, so just a minute. Let's get this record time paper. Nobody's here? Okay. So at 4:25, I'm gonna try and do this thing. Yeah, I don't really know if he did 8 minutes, but must be at the top of the minute every time, both times I've said it. I just want to make sure that the person who just tuned in knows what I'm doing. I'm just kind of rounding this off with in a certain kind of unique way. Okay, or not. Okay, you know what? I'm going to wait till the next minute now, and if somebody tunes in right as I'm about to start or while I'm doing it, they're just going to be like, huh, what's going on here? He's doing this really long vocal note. Let's see how long he can do it for. And I don't know if this will say anything to my music ability or not. If it's not very long, and I don't know. I have to look into it more to see what the actual Guinness record is for this. But either way, I am musical. I am a fairly avid singer, and you can see that on this channel. And sometimes I can remember very fast and say a lot without breathing. So I'm talented. Well, my throat's a little bit sore from all the talking here, but okay, well, it was better than the other 2 times. And I don't know. I'm curious. How long, our viewers in the chat, how long do you think you could do one a vocal sound? It can have different kind of ranges in it or whatever on one breath. I'm going to try it again when it becomes 4:27 here and see if I can get more than 20 or 30 seconds. I mean, which may or may not seem impressive, and we'll see. Again, this has nothing to my ability as a singer, I would say. I mean, I don't really do this very often. Did I say 4:27? I think I did, but I'm going to wait to 4:28 just because I'm not entirely sure if I did. Yeah, but how long do you think you could do that for? And we'll see how long I can. Keep bearing in mind, we've just done a 40-minute podcast, but 4:28. Here we go, baby. As soon as it becomes 4:28, which is going to be any moment now. And the person left. They seemed curious for like 2 minutes. Well, I guess less than 2 minutes because I'm waiting for this minute, but they seemed curious for like 40, 50 seconds. But I don't know if my throat's got it right now, though. It feels a little bit kind of scratchy. But that previous one wasn't bad. That wasn't very good. I don't want to be like steering people away from the channel because they come here and they don't realize what's going on, and they just start doing that as soon as they come in, and they think either it's a sound issue or a swarm of bees or whatever it is. That's why I'm saying it each time. I feel like I want to do it one more because I don't think I've gotten a minute. I don't think I've done it for a minute yet, and I think I can. You know, which may or may not actually be quite a long time for something like this. That may be, you know, even people who do voice work may do around that. I'm not sure, but okay. I just want to make sure that you know what's going on here because somebody tuned in. James, I was about to start. I'm just trying to set a Guinness record for the longest. Okay, you left. So you know what? I'm just gonna let you see what's happening. You know, what might be interesting is if I incorporate an instrument like a drum to it. And then I have to get the dog down here. There was a drum down here at one point in time. Well, there's this one, I guess. Oh, no, it's not there either anymore. Well, I didn't know we'd move the drums around. What do I use then? I feel like maybe if I... But then I'm going to do it musical notes. But so what? It has to be something. I don't know if a piano or guitar would be the right choice. 4:30. I do it. Longest vocal note in one breath. I'm going to try and attempt it here. I feel like I could do longer than that, though. I'm going to do it one more time at 4:31. How long do you think you could do for? And try it. Try it with me and let me know how you do. Should come up with little games on here more often. 4:31. I try again. Glad you're intrigued. I'm going to try and add some... Okay, yeah. I'm going to try and add some variety to the notes that doesn't sound so... same all the way through, but it's not easy to do that apparently. I'll try a couple different things. Okay. Now at 4:32, I'm going to try and do it a bit more musical, but still trying to do one note on one breath. I'm just feeling goofy and curious to see how I do with this, but other days I might do better. I don't know. Seems like the idea has kind of intrigued some people, but maybe that noise isn't very comfortable to listen to. I was in a theater class once, actually, and there was a girl. We were doing a group activity, and we were, I don't know if we were making all different noises. I think we were, and we were walking in circles. She ended up fainting. So, but, you come out of a faint usually, hopefully pretty quick. I'm not wanting anybody to have any medical problems, but I don't think most people would, so. You heard when I took a breath there? Let's try it again. I don't know if I could do a bit better if I took a deep breath first. Believe it or not, none of these times I've done that because I have pretty good lung capacity, but I'm going to try it one more time at 4:33. And then I got to go. How long do you think you could do it for? Just having a little fun with this here. Okay. What did I say I was going to do at 4:33? Oh, wait. See? And I wondered if some people might think, oh, you changed the key, which means that you took a breath. No, I didn't. You saw when I did. Just there, I stopped. So I'm going to wrap this up, unless the person that just tuned in has a strong interest in seeing how long I can hold one note, one vocalization on one breath, and to see if you can too. If you're interested in that, put it in the left. So I guess not. It's not everybody's cup of coffee. What can I say, right? But fun little thing to try. I guess I maybe should say, I don't know. I said it kind of after a few tries, and I don't know if I should say it in type 2. I don't know if the chat was afterwards, but just it is kind of a bit of a joke, but not really. Hey, so I'm wrapping this up, folks. Talk to you later. Bye.